Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Justin with zZounds, and we are here today with the new Universal Audio guitar pedals. So we're going to take a look at, do a fairly comprehensive dive into them, so you guys can hear those tones, and yeah, just learn a little bit more about them. So just to get started, Universal, obviously we all know as a company that does interfaces, mic preamps, software, pretty much everything you can think of for the recording end of the spectrum. So what they decided to release here is some new guitar pedals. So we have the Golden Reverberator, the Starlight Echo Station, and then the Astra Modulation Machine. So a lot of stuff to go over with these. They're pretty jam-packed with features there, despite how small they look, obviously. But yeah, let's just jump in. I'm going to start over with the Astra modulation machine. So this has a variety of different modulations there, one of which, the primary setting you'll notice over here, that is going to be the chorus Brigade. That's the stock tone, and that is going to be based off of the 1976 original CE1 Boss pedal. So let's hear how that sounds. So yeah, you can see how it's super lush. This is one of those early Bucket Brigade choruses, so it sounds super nice. And let's take a look at the knobs, though. Let's see what we're working with features-wise here. So up in the top left, you'll notice that there is this speed knob. So this is going to adjust, obviously, the rate of the modulation there, so you can get different effects based on that. So if you want your chorus to be slower or faster, a lot of times these types of knobs will adjust that for you. On this case, I'm going to adjust a different knob over here, though, the intensity knob. And this one is going to adjust some of our flavors. So you can get that kind of slow, almost non-existent chorus sound, right down to a much faster one if you turn the knob. So yeah, really cool sounds there. All right, now let's take a look at the other sound on here. So let's switch this over. This is going to be the Flanger doubler mode, and this is based off of, I believe that is an MXR 126, so an old MXR unit. So this one's going to be a flanger. Let's hear it. So I've got it set on a really slow setting right now, really slow flange effect. All right, so let's mess around with some of these tones here. So again, the intensity is going to adjust some of the parameters on there, so you can get different types of swirls on there. Also, the rate or the speed. This is again going to affect how fast the rate of the flanger goes. So this is really fast. Down to a much slower one. Kind of more where I was sitting at before when we first heard it. All right. So yeah, as you can hear, it's super lush, and obviously there's a lot of control with the bottom parameters as well that can adjust type of modulation and the different sub effects that you can do with that. So these knobs will change function based on the settings that you have. So it makes the pedals super versatile, and you can do a whole bunch with them. For instance, this first setting right down here, that's going to be just your typical flanger mode. But when you flip the switch down to the B mode, you'll get some other cool tones. So. So you can hear that kind of warble there. That's going to be based on your modulation knob. Your mod knob will adjust other parameters there. So very cool stuff. This one's super cool for your sub effects there. The this switch over here on the right. So anyways, let's move on to that third knob, third setting here. So if we switch that down, that's going to unlock the Trem 65 setting. So obviously that's going to be based on your old tube trem circuits from amps like the 65 Deluxe Reverb and everything. So let's hear that. So super cool. There's also a way to adjust the intensity of it, and also the kind of the thickness of the signal here. So let's mess around with the depth of it. Depth knob in the center will do that for us. So then you really start getting those effects, those cool old Fender type amp tones. So that's the sound of that. I'm pretty partial to those really, really choppy trem sounds. So you can adjust, find a sweet spot in the middle there. All right. So yeah, that is the Trem 65 setting. So that is just a really quick rundown of the first three banks over here. You'll notice though with the other two pedals though that they also share that same type of layout, which makes it pretty easy if you own more than one of those. The layout will be familiar. So looking over at the Starlight, for instance, there's also a bank of three different effect types that you can choose right here with this switch, and same thing with the Golden Reverberator. So gives you a lot of functionality with that. Let's go over to the Starlight then. Let's hear how the Starlight sounds. So the Starlight's whole thing is it's supposed to be replicating old units, and for starters, you got a really cool EP3 sound, which is obviously an old Echoplex. So you get a variety of different old kind of curated type delay sounds. So let's jump in and hear that. So yeah, you can get really great color out of that. I really like the sound of the kind of that old, kind of degraded sound that the Echoplex can have with its delay. That being said, if we look over at the dip switch over here on the right, that's going to unlock our extra effect modes there. So in the top setting right here, you're going to start out with one that's I believe they call it minty clean, which I think is hilarious, but it's a minty clean setting. So kind of a newer sounding Echoplex. But if you switch down to the setting below that, you're going to get a warmer, kind of slightly older sounding Echoplex unit. So it'll be a little bit different in character there. All right, so yeah, that's kind of that older type sound. And if you adjust the switch on the right again, one setting further, then you're getting a much more worn out type of Echoplex sound. So again, same pickup position. Here's going to be that tone. So yeah, you can kind of hear how it's just a little bit darker. There's like slightly less to my ear, and you get a really cool, like slightly more saturated color there. So let's hear those settings again, but I'm going to finally give you guys some more of my bridge pickup on the Strat so you can hear it with some brighter tones there. So that's the general gist of that. Let's adjust our mix. Uh-oh. Mix setting here so you can hear a lot louder actual delay sound versus my dry signal. So you can adjust different parameters like the gain with your color knob there. So the color knob in the center will adjust different types of things like input gain or the record level that you're using there. Give you more grittier sounds if you adjust your color knob right here. So let's hear it. So obviously you hear that's a huge boost right there in the output level. It's very cool though. So you can actually kind of drive your tube amps and other things like that, get some hairier delay tones with the color knob. So that's pretty cool. Then, technical difficulties. Go to the next setting here. Let's switch to the different mode. So our second mode to go to going to be our let me see, I believe that is the analog D mode or the Deluxe Memory Man model. So that's going to be based off a late 70s Electro Harmonics Deluxe Memory Man. So again, you get a bucket Brigade delay. And this one gets a little bit wild, so let's adjust this. You can hear this one's super lush. I actually really love this one for big chords and everything versus the Echoplex. So very nice. Let's adjust the mix on this. We get a little bit less delay sound. There we go. Something like here works. So again, this is the Deluxe Memory Man setting. So if we switch to the alternate mode, we're going to get a different type of character with that. Uh-oh. It's a really cool sound. I mean, who doesn't like Memory Man? So again, our third setting over here on the right, going to unlock another alternate mode that we can access for it. So I believe that the sub mode for this, I'm actually not certain what the third sub mode is, but let's hear it. Give us some more mix so you can hear more delay. All right, so yeah, there is the Deluxe Memory Man sound. All right, now let's go to the third setting here. So third setting is going to be our precision setting, and that's going to be modeling old digital delays. So this is going to kind of capture that sound of the kind of late 70s, early 80s when they started getting a bunch of rack digital sound. So these are usually a little bit clearer, a little bit brighter, and it also has a lot of cool functionality in this dip switch over here on the digital setting. So let's hear it. So yeah, super cool. I love the trails on this one too. You get a lot of really cool effects on it. So again, you'll notice the character of that one's a lot different than the other analog ones that we heard before this. Super cool. And then if you guys notice over here in the bottom, we have our switch here that we can dial in different settings. So I was sticking with the typical quarter note setting for a while there, but if you try other rhythms, you can get some cool textures. My favorite is one of these quarter dotted eighth, I believe it is. You get some cool rhythmic effects with it. So let's hear it. So yeah, sounds great. Absolutely love that setting, especially on the precision mode, the digital delay mode. So super, super cool. And again, yeah, like I mentioned before, these pedals open up a ton of possibilities for shaping tone because of the way that the bottom knobs interact with what settings you have on the switches here. So again, like, no matter how much time I spend with these, I can always sit down and learn more about them. So they've been a whole lot of fun. The Starlight Precision was the one you just heard, though. So let's move on to the next one. This is the Reverberator. So what they were trying to do with this pedal was kind of capture that old like golden era of amp reverb tones. So what we have first is actually a this is going to be the Spring 65 setting. So that's going to be modeled after an old 65 Deluxe Reverb. So super swampy spring reverb. Then the switch over here is going to give us different flavors of the old spring reverb sounds. So before I get into what the sounds are on this switch, let's just hear it. So yeah, really cool. Just drippy spring sounds there, and that is again the Spring 65 mode. Now let's take a look at the right switch. We have an A, B, and a C bank, just like the other two pedals, but this time it's going to open up some alternate flavors of the spring reverb. So the first setting is, I believe that is the 65 Deluxe, like I mentioned before. If we go to our second position, that's going to open up a dual Showman circuit. So you'll hear how it's a little bit different. So yeah, a little bit different character. And lastly, let's check out our third setting over here. So third setting is going to open up a 64 custom deluxe reverb tone. So again, a little bit of a different flavor from the other two. And let's hear with the same riff. So yeah, this one's really cool. I believe I had some slight modulation on that one. It sounded like that one was really cool. And again, yeah, that is all part of just the Spring 65 section. I was just switching between those three tones over here. So a lot of cool stuff. And this one sounds particularly great when you're doing kind of faster reverb sound. And you get a little bit of that spank tone. It's really cool. So very cool. Now that you guys heard that, let's just talk about the reverb settings really quick. This is going to be laid out like a standard reverb. We have our decay time. So that's obviously going to be the decay. We have our pre-delay though, which some people might not be familiar with, but the pre-delay is going to be how long it delays the signal before the reverb kicks in. So you can get some cool sounds with that. If the pre-delay is set really low, it happens just right away. So right smack a note, the reverb will kick in. But the higher you put the setting up, the more it'll delay it. So you can hear it right there. Really big delay between the note and when the reverb happened. So yeah, you can get all those country sounds, you know. Well, maybe a little bit less extreme than that, but you get the point. So you can mess around with that and get that kind of sweet spot there as that little slap back. All right, yeah, so going down to the bottom knobs, this is just going to be a typical layout that's super handy to have for a reverb. We got your bass, we have treble, and then again, we have our mod knob over there on the far right. So if you notice that your reverb signals are kind of dark, you can roll off the bass here, or if you want to kind of add some clarity to your reverb tails, you can adjust it with the treble here and brighten those up. So you can, let's hear those EQ ranges. So here's the treble all the way up. There you go. Now we're getting more of those country tones there. Here's the treble rolled all the way off. So yeah, quite a bit dark. And then again, let's go to the bass knob and see what the range of the bass knob is. So I'm going to start by rolling it all the way up. So you hear it super dark. So yeah, you can notice it kind of gives you a lot more perceivable output there because it thickens up the signal so much with the bass turned up. And then because probably won't use it that high, it gets a little muddy. Let's hear with it rolled off then. So this is the bass knob totally turned off. So yeah, quite a big difference. You just get all the like snap from the reverb there without any of the mud. So sitting right in the middle usually is a decent balance. Just thick enough, but not overwhelmingly muddy. So that's a general layout of the Golden. Let's go to the alternate mode there. So Spring 65 was up first. Let's check out our next mode. And this one's going to be a plate reverb. This one's based off of, I believe it is the EMT 140, which is actually the very first plate reverb. So it's different reverb because it's just a big mechanical sheet of metal there that actually vibrates, and then they put a pickup on it, and we're able to have a brand new type of sound with a plate reverb. So they started getting rid of all those reverb rooms and chambers there they used to have that would take up space by inventing the plate reverb. This is the UA emulation of that old EMT 140. Let's hear how that sounds. So yeah, quite a bit of different character, but super useful. And I'm going to mod knob down since I believe we were getting a little bit of some modulation from that. So. And I think the plate reverb works. Want to add some drive in and get some distorted signals. So I'm just going to throw on a Earthquaker Devices plumes here. You guys can hear it with some distortion in there. So kind of those like old Eddie Van Halen type plate reverb tones you can kind of nail with this type of setting. So it sounds really cool. Kind of get the idea with that. And let's look at the sub modes though of our sound. So again, every tone we have this bank of A, B, and C. So let's hear how that sounds. That's on the stock mode. On the next setting, I believe this one is going to access, I actually don't recall what the second setting was. I believe it's just alternate plates, plate 1, plate 2, and plate 3. So it's just different flavors of sounds. So let's hear it clean first, and then I'll put some drive on it again. All right, and then real quick, let's go to plate 3 so you can hear that back to back. So pretty cool. Let's get the drive on there again. And let's roll off a little bit of that bass. We'll see how it cleans up. So yeah, you can notice a big difference there, especially with overdrives when you have the bass rolled down. So I wanted to show that because you can kind of pair it with a bunch of different amp and guitar combos to a really great effect when you have that control. So it's super nice to have that on the pedal. But let's get to our third mode though. So going down here, we have finally our, this is our hall mode. This is going to be based on an I believe an old Lexicon 224, another old reverb unit. So because it's the Lexicon, this one's entirely different character altogether. So let's hear it. Let's switch back to our A bank. And I'm going to put some extra decay in this so we can really hear that reverb working. super cool. Let me roll down the decay a little bit more. And let's just really kind of make this one super swampy so you guys can really hear it. So yeah, sounds pretty great. I'm going to give you it with the bridge pickup now. So. So yeah, great sounds here. So let's go to the secondary modes for the hall setting. So these are going to open up different rooms now. So. All right, and let's go to that third mode finally. So yeah, you can notice that it's subtle, but there's different character changes, and the decay also is affected pretty greatly by the size of the room emulation that they have there. So again, you can have a ton of different tonal options there. All right, cool. So that is the Golden Reverberator, and that's a general rundown of these pedals. But just to have some fun, let's combine a few of them so we can get some of these pedals working with each other. So let's try the delay. We're going to put the Starlight on with the Golden Reverb and see how that sounds. So yeah, they sound great, and the pedals stack really well. So based on your settings, you get some really, really cool stuff. And just for fun, let's throw in that Astra as well. sounds great. Let's do one more kind of fun setting. How about this? Let's just go pop in a couple tones at random and see what we end up with. All right, let's work with that. All right, very cool. All right, guys. Well, that is going to start wrapping up the run through of all these three pedals. So as you can hear, they're super high quality, built like tanks, have a ton of functionality, and it captures all of the Universal Audio plug-in emulations of that old classic hardware right here on the pedal board, which is honestly pretty great. The only time you usually be able to get those is either in the studio or using your plugins on your computer. But these sound great. They look great. Pretty big fan of these so far. So be sure to check these at zZounds. We sell this whole line. So make sure that you go check that out if you're interested in picking one of these up. And as always, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Justin with zZounds, and I hope to see you next time.